One of the biggest questions and most common questions that I get are simply what's the difference between OneDrive and SharePoint? I would say probably 95% of OneDrive and SharePoint are very similar, and they namely focus on the differences of who has default access to a file. Let's start with OneDrive. So I'll click here and open up OneDrive, and it will show me all of my files and everything that I have. And for any file, you can click on it. You can get a link, so you can share that link with other people, and you can share it with other people from the share dialog box. One cool thing with sharing links is you can type in their name or email address. You can right now mine is defaulting to only be shareable for people within my organization, and many schools have a similar situation where you can only share within that school, but you can go in and change that typically, and add anyone with the link, people within the organization, people with existing access. So if you're making a new version or something, the people who have had access before have access to this version, or then specific people, and then whether you want them to have editing rights to be able to change the document. But the real thing is the default for all files in your OneDrive. All of these by default are only owned by the individual account. So they're owned by me. My account here owns all of these. They're all modified by me. All the sharing is set to private, meaning only I have access. So you can click on any file or folder right where it says private. I'll show that again. Close that. Oh, close that. And then this private over here, you can click on the sharing options and it'll show you who has access to those files. So here you can click private and it defaults to only me. No one has access. So in order to give people access, I have to click this little plus button. And I can manage access from the permissions panel, but there's nothing there because they default to me. OneDrive folders is, imagine OneDrive like a file cabinet. And the file cabinet for OneDrive is the one that's in your classroom. It's the one that's in your room. It is your file cabinet. You can share it with anyone that you would want, but the default is for them to be your files and your files alone. On the other hand, let's open up SharePoint. So I'll close this, go into SharePoint. SharePoint's structure is a little different. In order to have documents, it has to be a document library. And I'll show you that in a second. So I'll just open up the SharePoint site. And then this site, to get to the documents, over here to the left, there's a Documents tab. So you can click Documents, and I can see all of these documents. You can see that many of them have been modified by me, but I don't have that sharing option over here. I can still go in and then go to Details and see who has access. But notice that the default is not individuals' accounts, but 3 groups have access. The default for SharePoint is to be able to share with a group. So think of it still as a file cabinet, but instead of the file cabinet in your classroom, it's the file cabinet in the office. So anything you make at a SharePoint site is going to default to have sharing permissions and have editing permissions with whomever that SharePoint site is with. So if it's a faculty or staff SharePoint site, the folders created in it will by default be accessible by faculty and staff. So if it's a document that you're saving that you want to be private, open it and save it in OneDrive. OneDrive is for you. It is your OneDrive. Rather, if it's a SharePoint folder, that's something that's going to be more public and more people are going to have default access to. So OneDrive, think one individual, and then SharePoint, think share with many people. So while we're here and while we're sharing, it's super easy to add or remove any files from a folder. So here I can go in and open up this demo folder that I've been working with, and I'll take this updated lesson plan, and really all you need to do to add files to it, just drag and drop, and you get this uploading, and then there you go. And it's uploaded in SharePoint. Everyone who has access to this folder can view it, and anyone has access. From here, let's say you want to work on it locally. So I can either go into here and then I can download it and download it remotely. Or let's say I want to always have these folders. So if I always want this, there's the sync option right here. And honestly, this option is also in OneDrive. So I'll show it to you there as well. So go back to the main portal page, click OneDrive, and then you have the sync option. And the cool thing about the sync option is it works very similar to Google Drive Sync if you use that before. So you can click on it, and then it says opening with OneDrive. Let the computer do its magic. But what will happen as it's getting ready is over here on the left, you see this OneDrive folder. There'll be a duplicate one that is for the OneDrive here. And if the sync doesn't work for some reason, you can always click here and download the latest version of OneDrive for your computer. So here it is. Looks like it's right there. So, and now it's wanting me to sign in. So I'll sign in. And now it's wanting my password. It's going to want my security challenge, which we talked about earlier. And then that's it. So I can hit next. And then I should see it. Yeah, there you go. So now this acts and it can keep all of your files offline so you can upload and then download OneDrive folders no matter where you are. So here we are. I have my OneDrive over here. That's my personal OneDrive. There you go. This OneDrive folder is my personal OneDrive. And then your organizations is going to show up as OneDrive dash your organization name. And then so all of my files and everything for my OneDrive for work are all right here. It's a super simple way to add and drop things in and out. And it's just incredibly convenient. I use it all the time. And it works super well. So if you have any questions, let me know.